shocking medieval battles, the insane 1v1 fights that will haunt you forever. In the dark alleys of history lurk tales of unimaginable violence that echoed through the centuries, tales so terrifying they make your skin crawl. Picture this, a rainy twilight in a forsaken village, where two warriors stood poised, swords drawn, ready to face the devil lurking in each other's eyes. The air crackled with tension, and the rain fell like angry tears, as if the skies themselves mourned what was to come. One warrior bore a scarred, haunted look, eyes wild and more animal than human, while the other, a stoic figure clad in rusted armor, wielded his sword like it was an extension of his own arm, a tool of destruction. And these were no ordinary men, oh no. They were champions chosen for their strength and ferocity, each with a story steeped in blood and betrayal. They fought not just for glory, but for their very souls. Now, dig this, many of these battles were carefully documented in ancient scrolls, yet the truth remained obscured, swirling in mystery. Can you imagine a duel that made grown men weep while watching, where the clanging of metal wasn't the only sound? The horror. The way the crowd held its breath. It was said that many left the arena changed forever, haunted by images they could never unsee. But the strangest part? Some of these fights ended not with a victor, but with a chilling whisper of something more sinister, a rumored curse. Tales of wrathful ghosts turning the victorious warriors into shadows of their former selves. Can you feel the chill crawl down your spine? It's as if history has woven a web of terror right where we stand. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the duel reached its climax, the air thickened with anticipation. Would one emerge victorious, or would the dark lore engulf them both? A blade swung, time slowed, people's breath halted. In that moment, nothing else existed, except the unknown shadows creeping closer, leaving an eerie question lingering in the air: what happens when the fight ends? The blade clanged against another like thunder, resonating through the village as if the earth itself trembled. Muffled gasps swept through the onlookers, tightening their chests. Faces twisted with horror and fascination. Would the next strike leave a lifeless body on the soaked ground? Or would it unveil a darkness that even the battling warriors could not foresee? As the raindrops continued their relentless descent, the scarred warrior lunged forward, his feral eyes narrowing with frenzied focus. Each swing of his sword cut through the air, fueled by desperation and a haunted past. He remembered the fire of battles long lost, comrades fallen, and the blood of enemies staining his hands. It was all wrapped up in him, twisting like a serpent around his heart. Then, just as the rusted armor glinted under a flicker of lightning, the stoic defender countered, that steely resolve unyielding. His movements, precise and calculated, seemed almost mechanical, an automaton programmed for one singular purpose: survival. He bore his own scars, too, unseen by the crowd's gaze, deep wounds etched in his memory from betrayals that carved his soul. Fight! Fight! The crowd chanted, their voices a relentless surge, pushing the combatants onward, coaxing them to unleash the fury withheld within. Yet, it was not merely a battle of strength, but a clash of darker fates lying in wait. With every brutal exchange, a dark shadow seemed to loom behind them, stretching into the corner of the village, whispering secrets of a curse, an ancient pact that bound the fates of those who fought. Many believed that those who slayed their opponent would inherit not just victory but the lingering wrath of the vanquished. Was this battle merely a gateway to unearth a hellish legacy? As fatigue seeped into their limbs, both men faltered for a fraction of a second. It was in that heartbeat of hesitation that ominous fears surfaced. A scream pierced the stillness as the onlookers witnessed a figure emerge from the dim mist that hung like a thick fog. It seemed a spectre cloaked in shadows, eyes glowing with a chilling luminescence that sent shivers down spines, time warped, and dread settled like a heavy weight. The crowd recoiled, eyes wide, desperate to turn away from the scene. "What is that?" a voice cried out, despair leaking into their tone. The warriors froze, caught between their mortal conflict and the supernatural presence that intruded upon their struggle. Then, the spectral figure began to glide closer, each silent step echoing with unearthly power. The warriors locked eyes, a primal understanding flickering in the space between them, a moment where they realized they weren't just battling each other but a force that threatened to consume them both. What was the curse that bound them? What fate awaited the victor? With one final clash of metal, the world around them shuddered, and the very sky darkened, as if anticipating the unfolding chaos. A blinding flash lit the scene, obscuring everything in pure, brilliant white. When the light faded, the villagers found themselves gazing into an empty arena, swords clattering on the ground, but no sign of the warriors remained. What had happened in that blinding flash? Was it truly victory that awaited, or a fate far worse? As whispers of speculation spread among the abandoned village, the shadows began to stir once more, shrouding what had just transpired. And somewhere within those shadows, a question lingered, heavy with impending dread. Would the duel continue, or had they awakened something far more dreadful than any sword could ever face? Silence enveloped the village, broken only by the soft patter of rain that drummed on the earth. The sun had vanished, leaving the world cloaked in darkness, shrouded in uncertainty. A tension hung in the air like the first breath before a storm, and the villagers, once caught up in fervor, now stood motionless, their hearts pounding in sync with an uneasy pulse of fear. Footsteps, heavy and deliberate, echoed from the shadows. Villagers turned their heads, their eyes wide with terror as they searched the void for signs of movement. Two figures had stepped from the folds of dark mist, the spectre, now accompanied by another ominous silhouette, shrouded in the same sinister aura. "Who dares summon me?" A voice lifted from the cloaked figure, smooth yet jagged, like glass scraped against stone. Each word rolled through the crowd, heavy, crisp, hitting everyone's heart like a hammer. I didn't mean to," a villager stammered, attempting to back away. But his feet were as heavy as lead, rooted to the ground as the spectral figure turned its attention on him. Before he could utter another word, the air shimmered like heat rising from a bonfire, and with an unearthly flash, the figure was upon him. The crowd gasped as shadows wrapped around the villager, squeezing the breath from his lungs in a whirlwind of darkness. Like a spindly vine climbing upward, fear snaked through the onlookers, paralyzing them with raw terror. The air thickened, cascading dread filling the space where joy had once dwelled. "Life and death are but threads in my web," the cloaked figure said, its glowing eyes fixed on the trembling crowd. "You've come to witness a duel, but it is not merely blood that will spill today." At those words, electric tension surged within the villagers. Muffled whispers traversed the air, growing louder with each exchange. "What kind of game is this?" a woman cried. "We didn't ask for this." The spectre chuckled, a low, menacing sound that echoed like distant thunder. "You are the players, unwitting and unwilling. The stage has been set. The victors of the duel will not be the warriors who once stood but those who dare to face their own sins." The villagers' faces morphed, confusion mingling with dread. Voices crackled and sputtered, fear morphing into anger. "What do you mean?" a child's voice piped up, trembling yet brave. "We just want them back." "And that," the spectre hissed, "depends on your willingness to confront the past you buried alive with the battles fought." A flicker of movement rippled through the shadows, pulling everyone's gaze toward the center where the duel had taken place. The swords lay silent, but a swirling mist began to rise from them, twisting and curling like smoke. It morphed into images, fleeting visions of battles long ago, faces of warriors lost, and cries for vengeance echoing through the ages. The villagers gasped as they were yanked into the memories, visions swirling around, showcasing not just bloodshed but also moments of love, sacrifice, and betrayal. "Face your demons," the spectre commanded, voice booming like thunder in an empty night. The roots of their fears branched deeper than anyone had anticipated. Secrets, regrets, and unfulfilled promises whispered through the crowd, each person's heart pounding each beat a reminder of choices made. Would they stand together in facing their own darkness? Could they change the outcome of a fate long sealed? As the mist thickened, embracing their fears, the village and its inhabitants stood on the brink of chaos and enlightenment. Would they risk everything for a chance to reclaim their warriors? Or would the shadows of the curse consume them all? With uncertainty hanging heavy in the air, a high-pitched shriek fractured the silence, rebounding against ancient stones. The chilling realization hung thick: the duel was about to become far more than just a dance of swords. What lay ahead? The shadows were hungry, and their thirst for vengeance would not be easily quenched. Would the villagers muster the courage to face their past, or fall prey to the restless curse that loomed? The mist swirled faster, blurring the edges of reality and memories alike. Shadows flickered like candle flames, and the villagers stood rooted, caught in the cyclone of their own regret. The specter loomed there, an embodiment of their darkest fears, its silhouette shifting as if to prey on their uncertainty. "Face your demons." It echoed, and every word resonated like a war horn. The crowd trembled, an invisible weight anchoring them in place, hearts thudding in fearful harmony. The visions intensified, drawing individuals into a deeper trance. A young man shouted, "That's not me." I didn't but his words were lost amidst roars of past battles, warriors clad in rusted armor charging into the fray, blades clashing like thunder. Blood splattered across the ground, pooling memories of innocence lost. Nearby, an elder gasped as she glimpsed her own husband among the chaos, the last breath stolen before her eyes had closed forever. "No. You were brave," she cried, tears streaming down her weathered cheeks. But the vision shifted again, revealing the truth: cowardice masked by bravado. Deep within, she felt her heart crack, guilt flooding her thoughts like a rising tide. From the corner of her eye, a girl, barely more than a child, held her breath. "I just wanted to save you," she whispered, staring at her mother fighting with a spirit engulfed in flame, desperation painting a haunting picture of sacrifice. Yet shadows clawed at the edges, reminding her that sometimes saving others was a matter of choice, one that she had once chosen to ignore. With each moment spent entranced, the tension thickened. The specter observed them, feeding off their fear. "What do you seek? Redemption, or do you prefer this cold embrace of despair?" It intoned, a sinister grin forming on its face, deepening the lines of darkness around its countenance. A new figure erupted from the shadows, sword blazing like a comet, one of their own. The villager charged forward, eyes wild and defiant. "I will not stand here and drown in guilt," he screamed, slashing at the mist, urging others to do the same. "Fight against your fears. They are only memories. Confront them." His words ignited a flicker of hope. One by one, villagers began to step forward. A woman, hand shaking, lifted hers, a weapon born not of steel, but of intent. "You won't take my past," she shouted. As courage surged, the spectre's laughter echoed through the night, splitting air like jagged glass. "Brave fools! Your reckoning will not be in blind rage but true reflection in shadows that will bear witness to your sins." The mist quivered, sharpening into harsh shapes: a sibling's betrayal, a lover's abandonment, a promise broken. These were souls already lost, heartbreaking sights shining against the darkness. Yet the courage of the villagers intertwined, creating a shield of resilience, not by escaping their pasts, but by confronting them together. Just then, with a ghastly roar, the shadows coiled tightly around the young brave soul who had tried to lead them. It pulled him back, choking his cries, the specter stepping into the light. "Look at your friends, the ones you lose if you falter. Face your guilt. What will you sacrifice to save them?" With that, the crowd froze, horror lacing through their hearts. Panic twisted the air as they weighed their choices, looking into the eyes of those they had forsaken, moments that felt eternal past. Would they unveil the truth together or succumb to the wraith's twisted game? With heavy breaths, they were left to ponder, Just then, a flash of brilliant light erupted from the horizon, momentarily dispelling the shadows. The villagers squinted into the brightness, sensing the fracture between hope and despair. But alongside this glimmer, a dark whisper curled around the spectre once more, promising an even worse fate if they failed to act. What would they choose? Time was slipping through their fingers like sand, and with every heartbeat, the shadows grew hungrier. Would they embrace the dawn or be consumed by the night? The light from the horizon flickered like the dying embers of a fire, casting fleeting shadows across the villagers' faces. It momentarily pushed back the encroaching darkness, yet the flicker only heightened the tension. Each soul clung to the pulse of unease, as the spectre's grip tightened on the brave villager, pulling him further into its unholy embrace. "Stop!" Someone screamed, their voice raw and desperate. It was a woman, her eyes wide with terror, but they shone with a fierce determination. "We can't give in. Not to the past, not to this monster." Her words cut through the thick mist, creating a ripple that seemed to ignite something in the hearts of those around her. But the spectre lunged, its shadowy form twisting and writhing. "Foolish child. It's too late for courage. Your failures and regrets are unbreakable chains." It bared its teeth, sharp and glistening as if hungry for despair. The villagers gasped. They felt the weight of truth in those words. It echoed, reminding them of their own failures, the moments they could have acted but didn't. Fear clawed at their insides, but the woman's rallying spirit lit a small flame, a flicker of resistance against the tide of hopelessness. "Together!" she shouted, raising her arms, willing her strength to spread. A shiver ran through the crowd as they sensed her conviction. Slowly, they began to form a line, hands clutching anything sturdy, a pitchfork, a shovel, a mere stick to fight back against the shadows. But the spectre only laughed, a deep, throaty sound that chilled the air. "You'll fight me with memories? Those are the very shackles that will lead you to ruin. Your voice is just wind," cried a man in the back, his face pale but resolute. "We're not afraid of what we've done anymore. We're here to face it with honesty." The villagers united, pushing forward, their voices rising together in a battle cry. "We will not be shackled. We will expose the truth." They surged as one, spirits entwined, ready to reclaim what was lost in the shadows. The spectre's eyes widened, and for a fleeting moment, fear eclipsed its fury. It recoiled, slashing at the ground with its twisted essence as if trying to claw back the fading shadows. But the villagers pressed on, their wave of courage flooded toward the spectre, forcing against the wind of despair it wielded. Suddenly, the clash erupted, a cacophony of light and shadow. Memories swirled around them, but now they were caught in the dance of confrontation. The young brave villager, straining against the darkness that held him, reached for the light. "Don't let go. Please!" he cried, and the sound reverberated against the walls of mist, driving them toward each other. The spectre, realizing it was losing its dominion, shrieked, a piercing sound that threatened to splinter the resolve of the villagers. "You'll regret this." But with each memory they confronted, each glimmer of a choice made or unmade, the villagers forged a bond stronger than the fear that once paralyzed them. They confronted their pasts, the betrayal, abandonment, and losses one by one, stripping away the spectre's power. One by one, they let their voices carry the weight of sorrow, turning regret into strength. The mist shrieked and convulsed, swirling into a maelstrom. Would their collective courage be enough to shatter this monstrous form? Yet, just when it seemed they might overcome, the spectre hissed, a dark smile creeping across its face. "You think you've won? You don't even see the real danger. There are truths you have yet to face, truths I will reveal." With that, the shadows coiled back, distorting into what appeared like faces of those they had failed, familiar, loved, haunting. The village held its breath. Could they bear to look? What would be unveiled if they dared expose the remainder of their guilt? The power of dusk lingered, heavy in the air. Would clarity light their path, or would it plunge whatever courage they had left into despair? All eyes were on the mist, waiting for the truth to come. Would they stand firm, or could the spectre snuff out their light for good? The mist began to swirl violently, a storm of confusion and dread that threatened to swallow the villagers whole. Figures emerged from the shadows, faces twisted in anguish and sorrow, their eyes hollow, glaring at the living as if demanding justice for their unresolved pain. Each apparition carried the weight of unspoken accusations, a ghostly chorus whispering regrets that echoed in the hearts of those still clinging to life. "Look away," shouted one villager, covering his eyes. "Don't let their sorrow take you." The brave woman who had rallied them stepped forward, defiance emanating from her very being. "No. We need to face this together. This is our history, our burden." Her voice bellowed over the din, vibrating with an urgency that shocked even her. "History?" The spectre hissed, its voice laced with malice and glee. "You speak of it as if it's merely a lesson, but it's a prison. Each face before you is a door into the past you refuse to confront." The shadowy forms pulsed, weaving together to form a single, massive face that bore an unsettling resemblance to the villager's former leader, now twisted by regret. "You cast me aside when I faltered. I led you, but you turned your backs when the storm came." The voice thundered, each word striking their hearts like spears. A woman cringed, tears pooling in her eyes. "We didn't know what to do. We thought we were saving ourselves. And at what cost?" The spectre boomed, its shape pulsating between the forms of those they had lost. "You sacrificed me, and look where that has brought you, into the depths of suffering." "Enough!" Another villager shouted, trembling but resolute. "We may have turned away, but today we're here to face you. To face the past." The line of villagers stood firm, shields raised not in defiance but in acceptance of what had been done. With a sudden surge of strength, the brave woman stepped closer to the apparition. "You were our leader, yes. But we lost our way, too. We were afraid." Her voice cracked, vulnerability spilling forth. "But fear has kept us prisoners long enough." The spectre narrowed its eyes, studying her. "Ah, so you wish to wield bravery, do you? But bravery without responsibility is mere folly." The villagers could feel the truth in those words. One villager raised a shaking hand, confession spilling forth. "I abandoned my family. I chose my pride over their needs." Another added, "I ignored my neighbor's pain when they needed me most." Each confession weighed heavily on the air, like stones cast into a lake, rippling through the haunted faces of their past. The combined power of their admissions created an energy that pushed against the spectre. For a moment, the faces flickered, as if the spectre might relent, but then it unleashed a fury, a scream that cleaved through their resolve. "You dare to strip me of my power? You will see what remains when you shatter the chains of guilt." The air grew cold, the shadows darkened, swirling with intense energy. The villagers found themselves pressed against each other, hearts pounding, breaths quickening. They were teetering on the precipice of despair, but deep down, an ember of hope ignited. They turned to one another, nervous yet unyielding, drawing strength from shared confessions. Together they whispered in unison, building momentum. But just as they gathered courage, a terrifying truth echoed from the depths of the mist. "What if you uncover not just your failures, but the truths you'd rather leave buried? What if I reveal where the true betrayal lies?" The vortex began spinning faster, the air thick with dread. The villagers could only stare in horror, a fragile unity teetering on the brink. Would they find the strength to face not only the spectre but their innermost traumas? Or would the darkness consume them whole? As the shadows surged, questions hung in the air, each one echoing louder than the last. Who would unveil the deepest betrayal? What lay hidden behind the spectre's mask of fury? The villagers braced themselves. If they were to conquer this nightmare, they must first confront the truth lurking within. The shadows twisted violently, forming a tempest of despair that clawed at the villagers' hearts. Each gust of wind carried with it cruel whispers that threatened to choke the unity they had started to build. The spectre loomed larger, its hollow gaze penetrating their very souls. It was as if the mist itself was alive, snarling with anticipation. The brave woman felt the chills seep into her bones. She had to steady herself, no matter how much fear threatened to shatter her resolve. "We're ready to confront whatever lies ahead," she shouted, her voice cutting through the oppressive fog. "Show us the truth." For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then the face of their leader flickered into clarity, each contour etching a memory of their shared history. "Ready, are you?" "Knowledge can be a curse as much as a blessing," the spectre sneered, the echo of its laughter chilling the crowd. "What do you mean by that?" A voice quavered from behind her, the tremor unmistakable. The villagers remained locked in a state of tension as they awaited the answer to the chilling challenge. With a sudden sweep of its arms, the spectre unleashed a wave of frosty air, and along with it came visions they couldn't escape. One by one, the villagers felt their past surging forth, painful memories unraveling like ghostly filaments. Some saw themselves in heart-wrenching arguments that fractured family bonds. Others relived moments of betrayal, their own hands stained with the choices they had made. A man staggered back, his face paling. "No, I can't watch this," he gasped, clutching his head as if trying to block it all out. "You cannot run from what you are," the spectre hissed. "Face yourselves, or you will never be free." The energy in the air thickened, charging the atmosphere with an unnerving intensity. The villagers watched helplessly, witnessing the dark threads of their past weaving through the fabric of the present. It was as if each confession they had shared became a tangible force, ready to strike. Suddenly, one villager stepped forward, shaking but resolute. "I will not let the past dictate my future," she declared, her voice echoing with newfound strength. "No more. We've hidden behind excuses long enough." The spectre sneered, "And you think mere words can change what you are? So naive. What lies buried is deep and dark." The woman pressed on, fierce determination lighting her eyes. "Then uncover it. We'll confront whatever it is. No more hiding." An electric silence fell over the villagers. The spectre studied her, its face flickering between anger and intrigue. Then, with an almost playful twist, it revealed a choice. "Then let the penance begin. One memory, one truth for each of you. Face the weight of your betrayal or remain shackled to the guilt of ignorance." The howling wind subsided, a thick tension settling over the group. Hope was a fragile thread, twisting in and out of despair. Who amongst them would stand firm? Who would falter under the weight of their own misdeeds? "Let us show them," the brave woman urged, making eye contact with each villager. The glimmer of camaraderie sparked, timid nods gave way to firm embraces. They were ready to face the spectre together. But as they prepared themselves to confront their deepest fears, a spine-chilling laughter erupted from the depths of the mist. "You think unity will save you? There are darker truths than you can imagine." The villagers stared at one another, fear creeping back in. What horrifying secrets, what gruesome realizations, lay waiting for them just out of sight? Time hung heavy as the spectre's laugh faded into a haunting echo. The villagers huddled closer, terror mixing with a flicker of courage. Would their togetherness provide the strength to unravel the past? Or would the darkness tear them apart, revealing deeper rifts than they ever expected? The next moments would be crucial, choices hanging like sharpened blades. The air thickened with uncertainty. Who would rise and who would fall? The battle was just beginning. The air crackled with tension as the spectre's laughter faded, leaving an eerie stillness. The villagers, hearts pounding with fear, exchanged nervous glances. Each of them felt the weight of the spectre's promise looming above them, an invisible blade ready to drop. "Who will go first?" the brave woman whispered, almost to herself. The question hung in the air, heavy with dread. Silence surrounded them, a stark reminder of everything they had been afraid to confront. Each villager appeared lost in his or her own storm of memories, grappling with past sins that twisted like thorns in their chests. Finally, a tall, stoic man stepped forward. His hands trembled slightly as he faced the specter. "I'll do it," he said, voice wavering yet resolute. "I'm tired of hiding." The specter's eyes glinted, a wicked smile spreading across its shadowy face. "Ah, a brave soul. Let us see what skeletons dance in your closet." With a flick of its wrist, the mist coiled around the man, drawing him into a void of memories he had long buried. The villagers stared in horror as his past unfurled before their eyes. A younger version of the man appeared, angry, desperate, and driven by greed. In a dizzying flash, they saw him betray his own brother over a property dispute, the rift becoming a chasm that separated their once close relationship. The echoes of anguished words pierced the air, feelings of regret emanating from the scene like heat waves. "You've ruined everything." His brother screamed, tears streaming down his face. The tall man staggered, trembling beneath the weight of his revelation. "No. I didn't mean to," he shouted, pulling at his hair in anguish. "I was wrong. I know I hurt him." The specter's voice dripped with malice. "You see? The chains of guilt are heavier than you know. Will you still deny them?" The villagers recoiled, fear mingling with empathy. Could their neighbor, once so solid and stoic, really be driven by shame and regret? The truth was a bitter pill, and some struggled to swallow it. Murmurs began to ripple through the crowd. "He deserves redemption," one whispered. "We all do, don't we?" Another added, tears glistening in their eyes. As the man's ordeal continued, the specter turned its gaze to the others, a sinister smile twisting its features. "Who's next? Let the unveiling commence." A woman stepped forward, resolve shimmering in the depths of her terrified gaze. "I'll go," she cried, her voice stronger than she felt. "I need to face what I've done." The specter beckoned, and she found herself ensnared in her own memories. Moments of laughing with friends turned abruptly into screams as she recalled her own heart-wrenching betrayal of her closest confidant. The scene played out, an illusionary blade stolen in a moment of jealousy. For all the years they had spent together, she had chosen to sever that bond for her own sake. "I was jealous. I'm so sorry, please forgive me," she sobbed, collapsing to her knees as the memory stung. The chill in the air grew thick as regret and horror enveloped her. But instead of punishment, something unexpected happened. The shadow enveloping her shattered, casting brilliant rays of light around the village. Moments of joy surfaced, laughter and warmth flickering in the depths of her despair. "Forgiveness is the key to freedom," the specter hissed darkly, observing how the light wrestled against the shadows. "But at what cost?" Just then, a deep rumble echoed from the depths of the mist, followed by the chilling voice of the specter. "This is only the beginning. More secrets lay in wait, darker things that will twist your very souls." Suddenly, a distant scream pierced the air, shattering the moment of revelation. The villagers turned as terror gripped their hearts once again. What horror awaited them next? Would they unearth more from their pasts, or would they find themselves consumed by this abyss of memories spiraling beyond their control? The desperation of shackled shadows called for more, and there was no telling who would remain standing when it was all over. The answers hung just within reach, yet fraught with danger. Would they gather the strength to unleash the truth, or would they slip further into darkness? A suffocating silence fell over the village as the echo of that distant scream lingered like a dark cloud. The villagers turned toward the source of the sound, every heart racing. Panic gripped them like an iron vice. Were they to witness more of their hidden evils? What more was lurking in the shadows, waiting to be unveiled? "Get back!" the tall man shouted, shaking free of his remorse long enough to push the closest villagers away from the edge of the forest. "It's coming from the woods." Just then, the mist shifted again, swirling with an unprecedented energy. The specter laughed, a cruel, chilling sound. "You think you can hide? Your truths are not so easily forgotten. Next, let us reveal some wickedness of the forest, a festering secret long hidden. The ground trembled beneath their feet, vibrating with an ominous pulse, sending shivers down their spines. A lingering darkness coalesced, and the villagers tried to back away, but it wasn't enough. The mist wrapped around them like a snake constricting its prey. Another villager, an elderly woman with eyes that had witnessed too much, stepped forward. "Stop this," she pleaded, trembling but resolute. "We can face this together. We cannot let fear dictate our lives any longer." The spectre's smile widened. "Ah, yet another brave soul. But bravery can lead to foolishness. Do you truly wish to face your demons?" It loomed nearer, as if savoring the impending chaos. With her courage bolstered by desperation, the elderly woman stepped into the mist, her face illuminated by the pale light seeping through. "I was wrong, and I regret my silence," she cried, voice trembling. "I hid the truth about the night the fire took our homes." The air thickened, and a sudden gust rushed through the crowd. The villagers turned their eyes toward the darkened thicket. Images began to materialize, flames licking the treetops, shadows darting, casting long and haunting silhouettes across the wreckage of their burned village. The elderly woman stood frozen, trapped in her own recollections. From the smoldering debris, figures emerged, ghostly visages of those lost to the fire, their eyes wide with betrayal. "You knew the truth," one figure shouted, a child with eyes like haunted mirrors. "You knew who started it." Gasps erupted from the villagers. Whoever had caused the calamity was hidden among them, cloaked in guilt and shame. Fingers pointed, accusations began to fly. "It was you, wasn't it?" A voice crackled with accusation from within the crowd. "No. No. It wasn't me. The elderly woman stuttered, her voice drowning in terror. The spectre watched with glee, ready to savor every moment of their unraveling. Here's the thing about secrets. They hide in your soul, waiting to emerge in the most devastating way. The village erupted into chaos, a cacophony of anger, fear, and betrayal surrounding them as accusations rained like arrows. Tension coiled tightly, threatening to snap. Who among them had hidden the truth? Whispers fed the fire of suspicion, growing louder and more frenzied. Before they could reckon with the accusations, the scream that had ignited their fears echoed again, but this time closer, more visceral. A shadow materialized, a figure stumbling from the depths of the forest, bloodied, disheveled, an embodiment of raw horror. The villagers gaped, hearts in their throats. Fear gripped them tighter than ever. What other secrets were about to be exposed, and who had emerged from the darkness? Was this figure a messenger of hope, or a harbinger of doom that would finally reveal the truth they desperately wanted to forget? Now the villagers stood at the brink, only to realize that terror had a name and a face. But who would be brave enough to confront it? The shadowy figure stumbled into the eerie scene. Eyes wild and desperate, hands trembling as they reached out for something, anything to hold on to. The crowd gasped, a mix of horror and faint hope. Could this be the key to unravel their twisted past? A familiar voice broke through the silence. "Tyler!" One villager cried out, recognition dawning as they rushed forward. The bloodied man was one they all remembered, a former guardian, lost to the village's tragedies. "Help please," he gasped, collapsing to his knees, his body shaking from the weight of unseen burdens. I was just trying to save us all." His fervent eyes locked onto those surrounding him, begging for understanding. The spectre laughed, a sharp, mocking sound that cut through the tension. "Oh, how delightful! A return from the dead to reclaim lost truths? Let us hear the story, shall we, Tyler?" The villagers leaned in, hearts pounding, caught between dread and curiosity. "They didn't know," Tyler shouted, desperation pouring from him. "I saw what happened that night, the fire. It was not an accident. It was betrayal." His voice cracked, reverberating with the collected pain of the past. We had a choice to act, to warn you, but we hesitated, paralyzed by fear. Gasps filled the crowd. Whispers spread like wildfire, fear rising again. Who could have done such a thing? What did he mean by betrayal? They scrutinized each other, bitterness brewing. Enough. The spectre snarled, its patience waning. The truth is ugly, is it not? You buried it beneath layers of denial and sorrow. You claim the past doesn't define you, yet here you are, haunted by its every echo. Tyler, tell us who. Someone shouted, frustration mingling with urgency. We need to know. With a ragged breath, Tyler struggled to his feet, leaning heavily against a tree. I will. You deserve to know, but listen closely, the truth draws power from our pain. Every villager was captivated, holding their breath. The night of the fire, something happened, he began, voice shaking but gaining strength. It was a betrayal from within. A trusted ally, driven by envy and greed. They thought it would elevate them to power if they sacrificed those they claimed to protect. Shock washed over the crowd. Eyes darted around, darting from face to face. Who was it? A voice quivered. Show us the traitor. The traitor was me. Tyler's voice sliced through the air, the weight of his confession hanging like a shroud. Silence enveloped the villagers, their collective breath caught in disbelief. I lit a fire to cover the tracks of something much darker. I thought it would save us. But it only brought death and despair. He staggered, tears pooling in his eyes, streaming down his dirt-streaked face. I should have warned you all. Why didn't you say anything? Cried the brave woman, the fire igniting again within her. Why hold on to this guilt alone? We could have faced it together. I thought I was protecting you. Tyler shouted, anguish erupting. But in truth, I was the coward. I couldn't bear the thought of losing my place, my power. And it cost us everything. The spectre watched, intrigued, a glimmer of satisfaction coursing through its form. And now, dear villagers, you may stand in judgment. Do you choose to embrace him as he has betrayed you, or do you cast him aside as the darkness does? The weight of his admission settled over the crowd like darkness, each villager grappling with their own fear of betrayal, their own scars. But Tyler's raw honesty cracked the chains binding them together, drawing their hearts into a fragile union. We must confront this. All of us. The brave woman declared, her fierce spirit igniting a spark within the crowd. We can't let fear hold us hostage any longer. Our past is a part of us, but it doesn't have to be our future. One by one, villagers stepped forward, finding strength in vulnerability. Each shared their own struggles, their own shadows, voices rasping through the night. An elderly man admitted his own failures, a mother voiced her regrets, each tale weaving an intricate tapestry of shared pain and redemption. The spectre reeled, confusion flickering across its wicked form. But you do not understand. Your past will destroy you. No. Declared the brave woman. Our past is the foundation of our strength. Together, we face the dark. Together, we fight to transform it into light. With newly found conviction, the villagers joined forces, forming a circle around Tyler, intertwining their hands, merging their light. They began to chant, their voices rising like a tide, cascading together in a symphony of hope. Together, we reclaim our souls. The shadows screamed, the spectre shrieked, as the collective strength surged with brilliant light, caging the mist and ripping apart the darkness that had shrouded so many for too long. As the final vestiges of the spectre dissolved into oblivion, the village stood transformed. Breathless, they looked around, each one carrying scars that gleamed like badges, a testament to their courage to confront the past and rise anew. I'm so sorry, Tyler sobbed, tears streaming as he grasped the hands of those who forgave him. For all that's been lost, but nothing is lost, the brave woman assured him, squeezing his trembling fingers. History is not a burden but a teacher. We're still here. Together. With the night giving way to dawn, a golden light broke over the horizon, breathing life back into the village. The weight that once bore down upon them lifted, replaced with the promise of a new beginning. The path forward would be challenging, filled with struggles old and new, but they could face it together, united by truth and bound by love. United, they stepped away from darkness and into a brighter chapter of their shared history. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive tales. Smash that like button now if you felt the power of unity. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories on this epic conclusion. And don't wait even one more second to share this amazing story with at least 5 friends who need to hear it. Your support is essential. Show it now.